Last year, 134,913 taxpayers packed up and left New York. The story everyone's been told is that it's a billionaire exodus, but the state's own Comptroller just confirmed the biggest group leaving is married couples earning between $100,000 and $500,000 a year. And I know where a lot of them ended up because I keep meeting them at settlement tables here in Bucks County. I'm Jim Stevenson, a realtor here in the Philadelphia suburbs, and moving families out of New York and New Jersey has become the biggest part of my business. So let me show you what's actually happening because the real story is better than the headline. This July, New York's Comptroller released something his office had never published before. A dashboard tracking every taxpayer who moves in or out of the state, broken down by income and by family type. And it settles the argument about who's really leaving. You're probably picturing hedge fund guys landing in Miami, and that makes sense. It's the story every headline has run for 5 years. But here's what the data shows. In 2024, 121,251 taxpayers moved into New York, and 134,913 moved out, a net loss of 13,662. And the biggest single group walking out of the door? Married couples earning between $100,000 and $500,000. New York lost a net 8,200 of those households in 1 year. That's more than half the state's entire net loss. The Comptroller himself said he remains, quote, very concerned about the net loss of married middle-class filers. Think about who that actually is. A teacher married to a project manager, 2 nurses with a toddler and a dog. The households every state is supposed to be built on, deciding the math doesn't work anymore. And look, I'll be straight with you, because half my comment section is from New York. Yes, the wealthy leave at a higher rate. New York lost 1 in every 500 filers making over $500,000 that same year. But in sheer numbers, the middle is the story, and the outflow has slowed. 2024 was the smallest net loss since this data starts back in 2015, way down from the pandemic peak. So no, the state isn't emptying out. What changed is who's leaving. In 2020, it was single renters chasing space. Now it's established families with kids and real equity. That's a much harder loss to replace. And a quick word on timing, because the comments will go there. These 2024 numbers came in before this year's New York City tax fight, the one where the mayor keeps pushing and Albany holds the keys. So no, one politician didn't cause this, and I'm not here to argue the politics anyway, but when a family is already stretched, they don't wait to see how a vote in Albany goes. Uncertainty alone is enough to get people looking at a map. So where do they go? Florida gets the retirees in the headlines, but pull up the census numbers for Pennsylvania and something jumps off the page. In the latest count, New Jersey sent about 38,500 people to Pennsylvania in a single year, and New York sent about 29,300. Those are 2 of the biggest sources of new Pennsylvanians, bigger than Florida. And IRS returns show roughly 12,000 people in a single year moved from New York and New Jersey straight into our 4 collar counties. That's Bucks, Montgomery, Chester, and Delaware. They brought about $850 million of income with them, averaging around $115,000 a household. That is the Comptroller's exact demographic showing up here. Bucks County took the biggest share of them, almost 5,000 people in that 1 year. And the single largest New York City pipeline into Bucks is Brooklyn. Park Slope strollers are turning into Council Rock parents. This is the exact math I run with relocating families before they ever build a short list, and it always starts with one question. Why here? Because the gap between what these families were paying and what they pay here is big enough to change what kind of life they can afford. And if you want me to run this exact math on your short list, book a call using the link in the description, or grab my free Philadelphia Suburbs relocation guide using the QR code on screen. All right, the money. You're probably thinking the big win is income tax, because New York's brackets are famous and Pennsylvania's flat 3.07% looks like a typo. That makes sense, but for most of these families, income tax is the smaller story, and I'll prove it in a minute. The number that actually moves people is property taxes. Westchester County has the highest average property tax bill in America, $18,386 a year on the average single-family home. Bergen County runs about $14,400. Those are mortgage-sized numbers just in taxes. And New Jersey holds 10 of the 26 counties in the entire country where the average bill tops $10,000. Now come look at this side of the river. A $600,000 home in Bucks or Montgomery County typically runs somewhere between $7,000 and $9,500 a year, depending on the school district. So do the quick math with me. Trade that average Bergen bill for a typical Bucks bill, and you're keeping roughly $500 a month. Coming out of Westchester, it's closer to $750 every month for as long as you own the home. What that means is a car payment or a real chunk of a mortgage payment handed back to you for changing your address. A few weeks back, I was on a video call with a couple in Brooklyn who are making this move in the fall. I pulled up the county tax record on a 4-bedroom in Lower Makefield, and it turned out they'd been budgeting $1,500 a month for property taxes because that's what family in Westchester pays. The real number was closer to $800. They asked me twice if that was the whole bill. The reason I'm telling you this is because relocating buyers filter by list price, when the monthly number with taxes baked in is what actually decides what you can afford. Now the income tax. And here's the honest version, because I'm not going to sell you a fake number. If you're leaving New York City, it's real money. A $150,000 household that trades the city tax and the state brackets for Pennsylvania's flat rate keeps roughly $6,000 a year, even counting the 1% local wage tax most of our townships charge. Most of that is simply escaping the New York City residence tax. One catch before you spend it. That math assumes your paycheck moves with you. Keep a New York employer and work remotely from here, and New York's convenience rule can still tax those wages. Get a CPA on that one before you move. But if you're coming from New Jersey, here's the part almost nobody making these videos will say out loud. The income tax math is basically a wash. At a lot of incomes, Pennsylvania's flat rate plus the local 1% actually runs a little more than Jersey charged you. So if you're a Jersey family, your win is the property taxes and the house itself. If you're leaving the city, you win on both ends. Two more things, because I'm going to have the full picture and most videos skip both. For 2026, the federal SALT cap is $40,400, which softens the sting of those big New York and New Jersey tax bills on your federal return for now. A deduction helps. It does not erase the checks you're writing every month, and the cap is scheduled to snap back to $10,000 in 2030. And Pennsylvania has an inheritance tax. Spouses pay nothing, but what passes to your kids gets taxed at 4.5%. That's a rare spot where PA is less friendly than New York or New Jersey, and it's worth an hour with an estate attorney when you get here. And the house is the part that sells people in one weekend. Bergen and Westchester both run north of $400 per square foot. Bucks runs in the low 260s, and Montgomery is down around $240. Same dollar, half again more house. Against Bergen, it's closer to double. Here's what that looks like at $700,000. In Bergen County, that's a dated 3-bedroom that needs a kitchen. In Council Rock or Central Bucks territory, that's 4 bedrooms and 3,000 square feet with a yard your kids get lost in. One more lever, and for the older half of this migration, it's the biggest one of all. New York only shields the first $20,000 a year of your private 401k and IRA withdrawals. That exclusion hasn't moved since 1981. Pennsylvania doesn't tax Social Security. After retirement age, it doesn't tax pensions or most 401k and IRA withdrawals. Retirees cross the river and their state income tax line basically goes to zero. There's a twist in that matchup though, and I'll point to you at the end of the video. Add it all up and the move lands somewhere between $500 and $1,500 a month in real spending power, depending on where you're coming from and what you earn. Jersey families sit at the lower end of that range. City leavers at higher incomes push past the top of it. That's the why. But that's the money on paper, and it only shows up if you execute the move right. So let me show you where these families actually land and the one mistake that keeps New York's tax department in your life for years after you've left. Two questions decide the landing spot. Do you still need Manhattan? And where do your kids go to school? If you're hybrid and need the city a couple days a week, look at the river towns in Lower Bucks. Yardley, Newtown, Lower Makefield, Washington Crossing. You drive 15 minutes to the Trenton station, park for $13 a day, and the express train puts you in Penn Station in about 75 minutes. Amtrak does it in under an hour. All in, a 2-day-a-week commute runs about $430 a month with train and parking. 3 days pushes it closer to $600. One thing on tickets, skip the $585 monthly pass unless you're in the office almost every day. NJ Transit's Flex Pass, 20 rides at 15% off, is the hybrid commuter's ticket. Now here's why this works when it didn't in 2019. Most Manhattan office workers are on hybrid schedules now, and only about 1 in 10 goes in 5 days a week. 5 days from here would grind you down. 2 or 3 is completely doable. And the 7 a.m. parking lot at the Trenton station says plenty of people agree with me. Fully remote or working in Philly, then the whole map opens up. Doylestown gets you Central Bucks, a nationally ranked district the size of a small city. Ambler and Bluebell put you in Wissahickon with a walkable downtown and a train in Center City. North Wales and Lansdale get you North Penn, where the same dollar stretches even further. All of these districts rank in the top few percent of the country. The most famous Westchester and Long Island names still sit a notch higher on the national lists, and that notch costs roughly double the property taxes. That's the trade, and most families who make this move decide it's an easy one. One quick local translation, because this trips up every New Yorker I work with. A borough here is the walkable downtown with the train and the older housing stock, like Doylestown Borough or Ambler. A township is everything around it, with the bigger lots and the newer builds. Boroughs cost more per square foot, and the taxes run hotter for what you get. Townships give you the yard, and neither one is wrong. You just need to know which trade you're making before you fall for a front porch. Now here's where buyers get burned. They assume cheaper than New York means soft. It doesn't. Bucks County's median sale price is sitting around $538,000 as of late spring, up 7.5% in a year, and the typical home goes under contract in about 3 weeks. The good ones in top districts go in under 2 weeks. Inventory is better than it was last year, but it's still tight. So show up with a real pre-approval, not a pre-qual letter, and be ready to commit inside a weekend when the right house hits. People from New York are used to being the most aggressive buyers in the room. Here you're competing with other people from New York. And the mistake, I call it the apartment trap. Families keep a small place in the city just in case, and it can wreck the entire tax case for the move. New York still taxes you as a full resident if you keep a home there and spend more than 183 days in the state. And any part of a day in New York counts as a whole day. And in an audit, the burden of proof is on you, down to your Easy Pass records and your phone's location history. New York does not let six-figure taxpayers walk away politely. So when you move, actually move. End the lease or sell the place and count your days. Then get a CPA who's handled New York residency before you ever list your current house. Those 8,200 married couples in the Comptroller's report aren't a headline to me. A few of them are at a settlement table with me in Doylestown or Newtown every single month, and the only regret I hear is that they waited this long. So now you know where the New Yorkers are actually going, right here. But here's the twist I promised you. Pennsylvania wins this fight while you're alive. When it comes to what your kids inherit, New York actually wins, and almost nobody sees that coming. Watch my Pennsylvania versus New York retirement taxes video next, because I'll walk you through that whole trade-off, including the tax New York quietly takes out of your 401k withdrawals that Pennsylvania never touches. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.